an appointment at 8:30. That's 8:30.
It's 8:30. Yes.
All right, make them in.
Yeah, come on in.
Perfect. So Jerry, are you guys excited to downsize and get into a more comfortable lifestyle that fits your lifestyle?
We are, I don't know if it's excited. We're nervous.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a bittersweet moment, but let's definitely go and review all that.
Yeah,
The
sure.
first thing I'd like to do though is just take a quick tour of your home,
Sure.
and I want to see it through the eyes of the buyer, and then let's go ahead and meet back at the kitchen table. Sound
Okay.
good?
Should I give you a tour?
Sure.
Okay. So this is the kitchen.
Okay.
We just updated this kitchen 2 years ago.
Sounds
So
good.
we put new appliances. You got the stainless steel, and you got the microwave and all that good
Okay.
stuff. Which I went okay.
How you
Hi.
doing? How you doing?
That's right.
Hi, nice to meet
I'm
you.
Sean.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Sean, hi.
Alright.
So and then this is the living space. Open floor plan. We got 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms.
Okay. I love the open space. I like the feel. You guys entertain a lot? Used to?
Yeah, we do.
All right. Good.
Yeah, we like our family to come over. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to sell the property because of that, you know. So yeah.
Well, let's go and talk about all that.
Okay.
So and we have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
All
looks
decorations. Obviously not mine.
very nice.
So
I mean,
Very nice taste, right?
okay.
All right.
Cool.
And you have 2 bathrooms
Yes.
and then a swimming pool.
Yes.
Swimming pool. Perfect. So a lot of the space here, it's a great space. You have a great home. It's just a little bit too big for you now, right?
Maintaining the pool and all that stuff is just hard to maintain.
Sounds
It's
good.
downside. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a really good feel of what this is. Let's go and sit down at the kitchen table.
Okay. Sounds good.
We can lay everything out. And Jerry, would you mind if I ask for a glass of water, please?
Sure.
I got it.
All right.
Would you like sparkling or regular?
Oh, regular, please.
Cool.
So I see that you received our book in the mail.
Yes, I did.
All
Great
right.
information. You guys had some good information there.
Good. Did you get a chance to kind of flip through and read it?
A little bit.
Thank you so much.
Just took a glance at it.
Okay.
I'm sure you were gonna go over it, so I didn't want to go into too much details with it. But
Mhm.
yeah, we did look at it. Did you look at it?
Yeah, just skim through it.
Good. So we'll get into the meat of that shortly. The first thing I'd like to do, guys, is review your situation and what's important to you about making this move.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So from what I recall from our conversations, and I know that my office reached out to you just before we came out and asked you a few more questions. What I know is important to you is downsizing.
Yes.
You have a home that's a very nice home. You've been here for what, 22 years?
Yeah, just about.
Wow. And so your kids are grown. They've grown and formed their own families, and they're out of the house now. It's a bit too much of a home for you, and there's too much to maintain. And the stairs are a little bit tough on the knees now. It's getting there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the stairs and the pool.
Sure.
Maintaining. It's definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so what's important to you right now is finding a home that's smaller. It's better suits your lifestyle, closer to the water, closer to some of your friends.
All right.
I would agree.
Awesome. I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited to make this happen for you.
Okay.
And as far as the time frame, I know that you want to get this sold before the summer is over because you know that the timing is good right now.
Yep.
And we can sell it for top dollar. And then you want to find your place sometime before the end of the year. Is that right?
If we can do it sooner, better. We're not in sleeping in extended stays or anything. You know.
Right.
So the sooner the better. Yeah.
Right.
That'd be best.
Yep. I understand that it was the worst case scenario end of the year, but definitely sooner the better, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, so I'm pretty clear on what we have here.
Okay.
Is there anything that I missed?
When we talked over the phone, you did mention something about the price. We just want to make sure that we're on the same page on pricing.
Oh, absolutely.
We were like 30,000 off over the phone.
Okay.
But I want to make sure that we can get the 850, not the 820.
Of course.
Yeah.
My goal is going to be to get you the most amount of money too, so we'll definitely go over that shortly. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, I have 3 bottom line questions for you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
So number 1 is, are you definitely ready to sell your property?
Yes.
We're ready.
Perfect. And number 2, will you price your home to where it will sell, or are you okay with just leaving it on the market for a long time?
I think based on the fact that we want to sell by the end of the year, we definitely would want to keep it at that price, but if something were to happen, we'll be okay with like $10,000 less, but no more than that.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
Yeah.
And number three, most importantly, guys.
So she says 10,000, but you know, we want to get the most.
We do.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
like plan Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
For us, we're gonna. There's no plan. X, Y, Z. We have a couple strong plans, and we're gonna make it happen.
Okay.
We're gonna execute it and make it happen for you. Okay.
Sounds good.
So, and number three, most importantly, do you want me and my experienced team to get this property sold for you?
Well, so far so good, but I mean, let's see what you have to say. I mean, we're not just gonna say make a decision right now.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
so far so good.
Perfect. Sounds good. And likewise, so far so good for me too. I so far like the home. I like you guys, and we've gotta like each other before we decide to work together. True.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Sounds good. So, the purpose of our meeting, Jerry and Ida, is twofold. So the first thing is for me to share some really important information with you. That's going to get your home sold for top dollar, and within the time frame that you need, which is by the end of the summer, and then we find your replacement property at the same time. Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
And number two is for you to decide today if working with us is the right thing for you, because the last thing I want is just to take a listing that we don't like or that we're not on the same page about. And if you decide to hire us or not, it's totally okay with me, because what's more important to me is to just make sure that you get what you want, and ultimately your goal is to get this property sold and move to a smaller home.
I have a quick question. Do we have to sign contracts today to hire you, or can we say, you know what, we want to take 24 hours to see if this is going to be a good choice for us, or do we have to sign something today?
Sure, great question, Ida. So I know that when Kate reached out to you yesterday afternoon,
Yeah.
she said that, or you said that if everything made sense today, and if there were no questions outlined, that you would be prepared to hire us. So my goal today is to make sure that you feel 100% confident with us before you make any decision. Fair enough?
Yeah, that's fair. Pretty fair.
Perfect. All right, so in preparation for our meeting, we prepared the CMA, which we sent prior to, and you had a chance to review it?
We just skimmed through it.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
were hoping that you could explain further.
Oh, absolutely, sounds good. So we'll definitely be able to go through that. And before we jump into the CMA, because the CMA and
What's CMA mean?
sure, the CMA is short for comparative market analysis. In short, the way we value a home and the way buyers value a home is a very basic concept: is what is the next home selling for, and what did a home very similar to that sell for recently. So the concept of valuation is pretty basic. There are also some market conditions that we want to be aware of that's going to affect our overall success, right? And there are actually three things that will affect the end result in our success in getting what we want.
Okay.
Okay. Number one is pricing. So, there's two things. Number one is pricing. Number two is how the home shows. And then number three is marketing. I'm going to go into all three of those and make sure that you guys are clear on all those three. So the first thing is pricing strategy. And pricing is something that's truly out of your control or my control. Ultimately, the market's going to bear what they want to bear, right?
Right. I mean, but I'm sure there's buyers our house is great, so I'm sure someone will pay.
It is a great home.
You know,
It's a great home.
someone will pay $1 for it.
Yes, and we are. This is a great home, and we're in Cerritos. The inventory is low. Everyone wants to be here. We're definitely going to get you top dollar for this home. Okay. And from what I can see, there's really not any repairs you need to do, so it's ready to go on market. In a time when inventory is low, we're going to get you top dollar.
Okay.
Okay. The key is pricing it right. So, again, the basic concept of valuation is looking at what's sold, what is pending, and what is currently on the market. So let's go ahead and look at some of the active listings.
Okay.
So 22 Dallas Street, this one is obviously very similar to yours. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, just under 2,500 square feet, and it's about 2 blocks away from your home. Now it's on the market. They're asking $780,000, and the next one that's very similar is asking $800,000.
Is that right? Lot size 3,000.
Yes, lot size is 3,600.
Okay.
Right. So, active homes are homes that are on the market. That's what the sellers are asking, but we don't know if they're actually going to get that yet. That's simply an asking price.
Okay, I see.
And then sold homes, which the status says closed, right?
Mhm.
The rest of these are closed. Sold homes are what properties have actually sold for. So
Got
it's a much stronger point of reference because it's the reality.
Mhm.
And then active homes are simply those that people are asking for. So when we look at the entire list of homes that have sold and are on the market, the right pricing for this home, after seeing it, is $850,000.
Okay.
Okay. So can you see why that's the right price?
I can see why it's the right price. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's the price that we wanted to get. And you really think that we can get 850,000 because I'm looking at the numbers. I see one at 850 as pending, and another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So for exercise sake, let's
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
let's assume that the comps
Okay.
the comps do support
Okay.
850,000.
850. That's what it is.
Right.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool. And I came up with that because Jace.
Oh. Okay.
So
I thought we were going with the same.
based on the comparables, Jerry and Ida, 850,000 is the price that's going to get the most amount of traffic into your home, and then we'll be able to negotiate from position of strength.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Right. So I know that walking in, you said that you wanted it $20,000-$30,000 more than what we had initially said.
Mhm.
So can you now see why this is the right price?
After looking at the market analysis, I can see why it's the right price. But, Sean, the kitchen, we just did it 2 years ago, and all the other homes that we went to go see, I mean, we went by those open houses, and they weren't nearly as nice as this house.
Sure.
And the pool, we just remodeled the floor, we put new floor, new lights. So does that give us a little bit more?
Oh, in the pool? You put new lights
Oh,
in the pool?
yeah, the jacuzzi has
Nice,
brand
wow.
new lights, yep,
Yeah.
That must look really nice at that.
it sure does.
Yeah.
Um,
Unfortunately, we don't use it anymore
Yeah,
as much, so
I
that's
mean-
why we need to.
right. So you've seen some other homes on the market. Based on just apples to apples, this is a nicer home from those. I totally get it. And I know that what you're saying is you want to get more because, hey, look, if it's a nicer home, we're going to ask for more money, right? So ultimately, like I said, when we price the home strategically at the right price, ultimately the market is going to bear what it's going to bear. So when we're at the negotiating table, rather than negotiating with one offer item, and Jerry, we're going to have 3 or 4 to choose from. And then we're going to explain to them, as the expert negotiators, why the price has gone over the asking price. And now instead of 850, we're at 880,000. But the key is to be able to negotiate from position of strength.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. That makes sense, Sean. We really wanted 880 for the property.
Absolutely. And I want to get that for you too. So obviously, when we price it right, and we have more eyeballs on the property and more traffic and more offers to negotiate with, it's going to be my job now to negotiate that. And I'll get into some negotiation strategy shortly as well.
Okay.
But as far as pricing and positioning, you do agree that 849,900 is going to be the price where buyers get excited about your home.
I mean, you know more than me, I know.
I'm thinking. Okay. So pricing.
Yes.
It's not what we wanted.
Okay.
So something has to give here. Right. So it's $30,000 less. So if we're gonna do that, I know when we spoke to Kate, she said, well, actually, when we spoke to you, you mentioned it's usually a 6% standard fee.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I could see that. Yet, is there any way we can do that for like 4.5%, 4%, considering that we're not gonna get the price that we want? I think that's pretty fair. Meet us halfway.
Okay, so we're $30,000 off from what you originally wanted,
Mhm.
and so the way we want to make it up is through the commission,
Or you can write us a check.
right?
One or the other. Something. I gotta come from
That'd be
somewhere.
one solution, but it's not an easy one for us.
Right.
So ultimately, what's most important to you is netting the most amount of money. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. marketing.
We need that money for the,
Absolutely. So
yeah,
I definitely want to address that. Okay. So let's circle it back though. Remember, I said there were three things that's going to affect the result of our efforts here. That's going to get the result that we want.
Mhm.
So that first thing was pricing, and pricing it strategically. The
yes,
second thing, guys, is how the home shows. So you've already done a wonderful job keeping up the home. It's going to already show nicely. And so during every showing, during every open house, let's just make sure that we keep it up to this. There's a couple of repairs that I'll recommend before we put it on the market, but very minor. So that's number two. You've already done a good job there, but that's going to be up to you to make it show nicely.
okay,
The third thing is marketing, right? And that's something directly in my control. And so before we talked about commission and why we as a broker charge a certain thing, a commission, you have to understand the value of our marketing first before we can talk about that.
okay.
Make sense?
Oh,
Right.
yeah, I mean, share that with us.
Right. So when I say marketing though, it's like it's our marketing and our ability to negotiate. It's kind of a two-in-one. So I want to
Okay.
explain that to you before we talk about why it's important as far as pricing and commissions and how it all works together.
Okay,
So marketing, I'm not going to go through everything in this book. It would take us too long. We do obviously everything that we as good brokers should do. All the internet advertising, it's on every website. Professional photography, drones, right? We do all of that.
Mhm.
I'm going to just talk about some specific things that we do that other brokers don't do,
okay,
and it's reaching out to the international community, and it's also manually pulling information from third-party websites and the MLS, and we target the agents we know have clients for this property.
okay.
Okay.
How do you do that? That seems like that's pretty interesting.
It is. So where we spend our resources are on hard dollars on the internet and advertising and all that. Our other most valuable resources are human help. So we have a team that actually pulls the information manually, then picks up the phone and calls after we send the marketing package to them. So a very basic principle of brokerage is information trade,
Mhm.
right? So the more people who know about it, who should know about it, the greater the chances that people are going to end up looking at it and making an offer.
Mm.
So, in a long story short, like, we talk to hundreds of buyers and sellers and brokers every day because we're on the phones every day from 8:30 to 11:30 every day, Monday through Friday without fail. And we're all calling as a team, so we communicate with a lot of people.
Mhm.
And that's why, we charge what we charge is we definitely make that 1% back.
Okay,
Okay.
it makes
Yeah.
okay.
Jerry, I have a question. So regarding the commission, you said you wanted to go from 6% to 4.5%.
Yeah.
Do you know what the standard commission rate is in our industry?
Oh, 5, I would think.
It's about 5 or 6%.
Yeah.
Our standard is 6%. Is there someone out there who offered you a discount?
Let me share the realtor friend.
Yeah, and he said that he would do 4.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a really nice gesture. Can I tell you what concerns me about that, though, Ida?
Absolutely.
So if a realtor doesn't have the strength or belief in themselves to stand up to you about their own value, how strong could they possibly be when fighting for the equity of your home,
That's a great point.
right? And so let's not give this up to a person who can only get a deal done by offering discounts. Okay? So we have a track record, guys.
Mhm.
We've sold hundreds and hundreds of homes the same way,
Mhm.
right? And our track record, we get over asking price on average. Our days on market is lower than average, and our results are superior than the average. So that 1% in discount here, it means $8,000. We're gonna make that all back up through our expertise.
Okay.
Okay. And I told you I was gonna also explain, a part of how we negotiate that sets us apart.
Yeah.
Can I share one example with you?
I mean, you're here.
All right. So we had a pretty recent negotiation, and we really do consider ourselves expert negotiators
Okay.
because we've been through so many negotiations, so many sales. And so, if I can ask you, what do you think one of the most mismanaged variables in a negotiation is in a residential real estate transaction?
Communication? I don't know.
Communication, I know. So one of the most mismanaged variables is financing. As basic as it is, financing is up to the buyer, right? So as a listing agent, as an agent representing you, the seller, we often don't think about the buyer's financing.
Okay.
Of course, we'll vet the lender and we'll vet the buyer and make sure that they're pre-qualified before we open escrow. And that's what 99% of the listing agents who are good do. We take it a step further, and we fully understand the buyer's situation, how much more they can afford, what their goals are too. And I'll tell you why, because when we're at the negotiating table and we counter them, if they offered $850 and we counter them at $880, they might throw their hands up and say, well, look, that's $30,000. We want this for $850,000.
Mhm.
And we're gonna ask them, look, it's a $30,000 difference. If you were to finance an extra $30,000, what does that mean for you on a monthly payment? It's very low, right?
Mhm.
And so rather than offering them a $30,000 discount, we're gonna offer to pay down their interest rate by 1 point, which is about $8,000.
Okay.
And in doing so, they're going to have a lower payment over the course of the time that they own that home for 10 or 15 years. And they'll be willing to pay more. But they wouldn't actually understand it until we crunch the numbers for them and talk to their lender. And so a lot of times we're able to get the buyers up and offer solutions that they didn't even know. So a good negotiation is actually finding a good win-win solution. And that's just one of the examples that we'll do when negotiating. And that's how we get buyers up in price that they normally wouldn't understand.
Okay. I mean, I don't know much about financing. It sounded. I mean, it sounds good. I don't know much about it, so.
Okay, so
yeah.
with all that said, do you have any other questions before we get the paperwork started?
No, I think we're just gonna think about it for tonight. You know, give us 24 hours, 48 hours. We wanna think about it. Want to interview, you know, Buena Park. Want to interview a couple agents that we've seen their signs often. And we want to just make sure we're making the right decision.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like we're selling toys here. You know,
Absolutely.
it's a big home, so we want to get a second opinion for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you want to think about it, you want to get a second opinion. So before I came out today, I know that my office reached out to you and said if everything had made sense today that you'd be prepared to hire us.
Right.
So it sounds like what you're saying is you're not completely clear on the process. Is there anything at all that I didn't cover that you still have a question about?
So to me, you were mentioning the 3 things, right?
Yes.
And I think the only one that is 100% clear is price.
Okay.
But in that price, I'm still not fully convinced as to why we can't put it at 880. Like, I understand the financing and everything that goes within the negotiation deal, which
Sure.
is fine. But I'm still unclear about the other 2 that you mentioned. So that's why for me, I would feel really uncomfortable making a decision if I'm not 100% sure in the work that you're going to be providing. Like, I trust that you are a professional and you have the best interest in mind. That's why you're backing up that 6%. But I'm not 100% sure of how the process would look like.
Okay, absolutely.
Specifically with the last 2.
I appreciate that, Ida. So I appreciate you explaining that to me. So you're clear on the pricing.
I'm clear on the pricing. I still would like to put it at 880, but I understand why 850 is the goal, right?
Okay.
And then I understand how you're gonna make that happen to 880 in the negotiation process. That's clear.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But the other 2, not really.
Absolutely. So I definitely want to make sure we're on the same page, okay?
Yeah.
Because I know that the reason why I'm here is that you want to downsize into a more comfortable lifestyle, and every day that passes is another opportunity for another home to come on the market, or interest rates to increase, and the market changes a little bit. And I want to make sure that we can pull this off within the time frame that you want. So let me address that
Okay.
second and third
Yeah,
point
yeah.
again. So the second point was that the home shows well. And as I was explaining, you guys have done a great job keeping this home up in the last 22 years that you've lived here.
Mhm.
So as far as making the home show well, there's really not much else you have to do.
Okay.
Is there any questions about point number 2?
No.
Why is it that part of the 3 priorities? I mean, I know that our house is nice. You know, I've done a great job at it.
Mhm.
But why is that really, really important?
How the home shows, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because as buyers walk through the home, this is their this is their first impression, and oftentimes, just like in a dating situation, if we're not wowed in that first impression, there is no second impression, right?
Sure.
So that first impression as the buyers walk through, it's an emotional trigger. The lights have to be, or the home has to be well lit. It has to smell nice. Please don't cook in fish the afternoon before, right?
Yeah.
The landscaping has to look nice. As people walk up to the front door, it's they've got to picture themselves living here. And so when we're here at the open house, we're gonna identify the 2 or 3 people here who are hanging out, and we're gonna know who really wants this house because they're hanging out, and we're gonna identify them, and we're gonna make sure that they make an offer, right? And once they do make an offer, then we negotiate. So it's there's an art and a science in marketing, and that science is in that how the emotional triggers play in a buyer's decision to make an offer. So
That makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember seeing a car on the internet, not so nice, not so clean, and
right,
I didn't want to buy it. But it
flip
was the
through,
same
right?
car, yeah. So
And right,
That's
and there's some you'd be surprised, like even in the MLS, you'll see some homes if you flip through, there are some homes that just are very poorly photographed, and a lot of our buyers will just kind of flip through without even saying anything. Right? They won't even visit it. So the first thing first is we present it beautifully.
okay,
Does that make sense so far for number
Yeah,
two?
and you said you guys have photographers, right? Professional photographers that
Oh, yes.
do that? Okay,
Mhm.
great.
So we're gonna make this home look like it should be in a magazine.
got it.
For sure.
Good job.
I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
So are we clear on number two?
Yes.
for
Right.
sure.
So the third thing is the marketing. So what about our marketing? Because I can go on and on about marketing. I'm so passionate about what we do, and I can go on for 2 hours. But I know that we don't have that today.
Yeah.
What specifically about marketing would you like me to cover that you'd like to know?
You mentioned something about international marketing,
Yes.
right? How would that benefit us if we're selling a home in California, right? Like, why would I want somebody from Texas, let's say, to come and this house is worth so much more because I know property values are really low,
Mhm.
or like somewhere else? Is that for investors, or I don't see? It's not a really convincing point that it's international because California, like, and not correct me if I'm wrong. Like, we've never, had issues like this, but
Sure.
the market value is really high here. So how does that work?
Great question, Ida. Great question. So, I'm not sure if you got to this section of our book, but in the marketing section of it, we basically have something called GPS.
Okay.
We are certified as a global property specialist, and it's simply a certification within Keller Williams. It's a class that we took to fully understand what it means to market to prospective buyers and their brokers internationally. So through this wide network, we have access to 150,000 agents who work with international buyers. And I'll tell you why that's important because just statistically, okay, in the United States, 11% of real estate is sold to an international buyer. And what that accounted for last year is $104 billion in real estate. That's a lot of real estate, right?
Okay.
So if one out of 10 buyers basically is an international buyer, we're gonna pay attention. And that doesn't necessarily mean that these international buyers are only buying in world-class cities like Beverly Hills and Miami and right in New York. These buyers are buying in suburbs like this, right? Because they, for whatever reason, their economies internationally are very volatile, and so as crazy as it seems here in the United States, guys, with the new presidency and everything, they still view our economy as way more stable than theirs. So more money is continuing to pour in.
That makes sense.
And so we've worked with a lot of international buyers. We've worked with a lot of brokers who represent international clients. So we get that part of this segment.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there was a house that sold here not down the street. It sold and then it's released and it's been there for like 3 months.
Right.
And last I heard, it was a Chinese buyer wanting to park their money. So it literally just happened last week.
Absolutely.
I do get it. I just don't know how much like attention that would. I mean, do we need? I mean, it was a good deal, so I'm sure they jumped
Yes.
on that.
The beautiful thing about international buyers, and I think you were asking like, why is it important, and will they actually offer a higher price or a lower price? international buyers typically buy cash, and they trust the brokers that represent them here, and they'll really just go on their advice. And if it's a good value, they're going to offer a full price or more, right? And we've seen it over and over. Full price cash offers,
Okay.
right? And so again, that's just the international marketing. Did you want me to go in a little bit more depth as to how we're pulling information manually and how we're communicating with them? Is that important to you?
I got that.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
I get it. I think it was just that the international thing, but that sounds good, Sean. So,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, that seems like you covered
Everything.
everything.
Good. So I'm really excited to get this going for you guys. I feel good about what we've talked about.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead and make this happen. Let's take care of the paperwork today so we can get right to work.
Okay,
All right, sounds good.
let's do it.
All right, stand right there.
6%, right?
Yes, that's right. We'll do 6%. All right, cool.
All right, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
you.
Absolutely.
All right.